Hello vinyl community, this is Mike with TCAT's Deep Vinyl Tracks, and I'm here to do another recent finds video. These are actually records that I have gotten the first part of this year. When I wasn't putting out any videos, I just continued to get caught up with showing you what I've picked up over the last several months. And I've got Susie here who will be making some comments as we go along. Maybe she'll even pop up here to get on camera, who knows. Anyway, first of all, I want to show you a couple of CDs that I've picked up. These were each about $3 a piece. First of all, I've got Opeth's Heritage, sorry. This is Opeth. They are an excellent progressive metal band, and this is their album Heritage, and it has the CD and DVD and 5.1 surround sound, plus includes a documentary about the making of the album, and there's this booklet that's in the middle. There's that. This one is Russian Circles. This is their album called Empros. Russian Circles is a post-rock band. Kind of a heavier, darker post-rock. One that I really enjoy their music. And Baroness, one of my favorite heavy metal bands. They're kind of a progressive metal. This particular album has two albums in it, the yellow album and the green album. They were originally put out together like that. And one of the albums, I'm not sure which is which. Oh, there goes Susie. One of them is kind of along the more progressive vein, like they were in their early years. The other one is more of a commercial, I guess, heavy metal, but you know, it's really good music. I always liked Baroness's music. So this is called Yellow and Green, and a box set. Pretty happy to find this one. This is the Birds There Is a Season box set, and it comes with 4 discs, quite a few tracks here, plus a bonus DVD is included. Has this really nice book that it comes with. Tons of pictures in here. Quite a nice band bio. Quite extensive too, so there it is. And the box set that has the discs in there. There's 4 discs, like I said. The last disc consists of, there's the programming for each of the discs. The last disc consists of, half of it is different live shows. The other half is more rare and unreleased tracks. So a pretty comprehensive box set there. There is a season. So let's go to vinyl. First of all, most of these I picked up at various different places. So, you know, some I probably paid a couple bucks for. Others I paid up to like $30 for, just depending on what it is. I couldn't tell you where I got each one, so I'll just go through and tell you a little bit about each album. First of all, I have Al Stewart. This is called Past, Present, and Future. And this album was released in 1973 in the UK, in 1974 in the US. And it is Al Stewart's 5th album. It was released before Year of the Cat, when he really broke in the United States. It was his first major album. Quite popular in the UK, not quite as popular in the US, but it was you know, when he started to pick up as far as popularity. It was his first album where he took on more of a rock sound. He started to break away from his original acoustic folk sound. And it's all of the songs on here have kind of a historical theme. So each song represents a decade in the 20th century up until, you know, 1974 when this was released in the U.S. Nostradamus is probably the main song on here. It's a 10-minute song, and it basically talks about the life of Nostradamus. A lot of people call him a prophet. And side 1 has 5 tracks. Side 2 has 3 tracks on it. So, good album. Like I said before, he became real popular in the States. They're on the Janus label. And we got Pat Travers and his album Black Pearl. Pat Travers is from Toronto, Canada. He did a lot of solo albums mostly, and that's mostly what he's famous for. But he and his band toured with Jimi Hendrix. He toured with Rush several times. With Rainbow. Sorry, I couldn't read my writing there. He was discovered originally by Ronnie Hawkins. Most of you know who Ronnie Hawkins is. And Black Pearl was released in 1982. At the time, Pat Travers was dropped by Polydor because his music wasn't performing as well as they thought it should. So they dropped him before his contract was up. Pat Travers turned around and sued them, and then was able, since he won, he was able to finally release this album on the Polydor label. He's popular for his guitar sound. He's a very good guitarist. And this particular album is more of a mainstream heavy blues rock sound. And also Pat Travers is admired by Alex Lifeson, of course, the guitarist for Rush. And that's how he got tied in with him. Next, I have this album by a band called Zephyr. This album is called Going to Colorado, and it was released in 1971. Now, Zephyr is not a very well-known band. They kind of play a combination of rock, soul, funk, and blues. And this is their second album, Going Back to Colorado. Somebody you may know from Zephyr, this band was formed by Tommy Bolin, who of course went on to play for with Deep Purple on their album. Okay, so I forgot what it was. Come Taste the Band, I believe is what it was called. And it wasn't too long after that that Tommy Bolin was died from an overdose. But the band Zephyr, getting back to that, also had David Givens and Candy Givens. Candy Givens was the female vocalist, and she was very charismatic. That's probably one of the things the band was well known for. But Tommy Bolin's riffs and everything were really what carried the band. It is on the Warner Brothers Green label. And Candy Givens, now I may have said that wrong. David Givens was Candy Givens' husband. And yeah, he played bass and did vocal on one of the tracks on this particular album. So there you go. Next one I found, this is quite an eclectic bunch of records. They're all over the place. This is David Byrne's soundtrack to The Catherine Wheel. It's not the entire soundtrack. It's songs from the Catherine Wheel that were written by David Byrne. This is the second album after David Byrne released his first solo album earlier that same year, which was 1981. And it's actually a musical score for a dance project that was created. So this contains the songs that he wrote. 4 tracks off of this album were actually performed live by the Talking Heads during the Stop Making Sense tour, and you can see those performances on that particular film, and it's also on the expanded edition of the Stop Making Sense album, and it's on the Sire label. So, you know, very nice album, not one you see very often, so definitely excited to see that one. Here's another one. This is an experimental artist. I've been picking up her stuff lately, Laurie Anderson. This is one of her more popular albums. It's called Mr. Heartbreak. This one was released in 1984 and was her second studio album after Big Science, which was another big album for her. A lot of people don't really care for her experimental style, but this is probably one of the more commercial albums that she put out. This album has the popular song by her, Sharky's Day, and Excellent Birds is also on here. You may recognize the title Excellent Birds from Peter Gabriel's album So. That was one of the songs off of that where Laurie Anderson was a guest. This is an alternate version of it because they each had different things they liked about the versions that appear on their albums. They disagreed on the bass line, so Laurie Anderson uses her version of it. Peter Gabriel uses his favorite bass line of it, and you know, so you get the same song, just 2 different versions of it. Adrian Belew also played on this album. He plays on 4 of the tracks. William S. Burroughs does some spoken word here. Peter Gabriel, of course, appears on Excellent Birds. You also have Phoebe Snow as a guest on here, Nile Rodgers, lots of guests. So if you were interested in Laurie Anderson's music or wanting to hear about it, this might be a good place to start. Either that or the Big Science album are 2 good places, and you can decide from there, you know, if it's your style of music or not. Next, I was excited to find this one. This is the second album by This Mortal Coil. This album is called Filigree and Shadow. And like I said, it's their second album, released in 1986. And this is also a double album. This Mortal Coil is actually a supergroup made up of different artists that recorded on the 4AD label. You have, I don't remember names, but you have one of the performers from the Cocteau Twins on here. Also another one that had played for Dead Can Dance during that time. They put out 3 full-length albums, this Mortal Coil did. And this, like I said, is their second one, double album. There's 25 tracks on this, and 13 of them are instrumental. So, very good album. A lot of kind of, well, I don't know if you'd call it experimental, more of the dark pop sound, kind of a dream pop. Art rock is what is considered. And each side on this particular album kind of follows a theme. So the music was put together on it so that each side kind of flowed together a lot more accurately or much better. So it kind of gives it a better flow. Now that flow gets lost on the CD version of that since the tracks are a little mixed up. But apparently the vinyl version is the best way to get that one if you like that flow. Next we have the debut album. Now some of these I couldn't remember if I showed in last year's videos or not. I don't think I did, but if I did, please bear with me. And if I did, you probably forgot by now anyway. This is the debut album from Social Distortion. This album was released in 1983. Of course, Mike Ness is the founder, lead vocalist, kind of the big guy behind Social Distortion. This particular album has been considered one of the albums that kind of started the way for like punk pop and skateboard pop. There you go, it's the inner gatefold. Great album. It's probably more punkish than most of theirs. That is their later albums, of course, turn more towards punk, cowpunk sound, and kind of had that southern feel to it, more of a bluesy feel. But their first album was actually considered one of their best punk albums. Very influential to pop punk and skate punk, like I said. And the album itself was recorded over a single session over several hours long. So they were trying to save some time in the studio. Of course, studio costs and everything else. Here's another one I'm not sure if I showed already because I got it early on. But another album by the band XTC. This is probably their album they're most known for, called Drums and Wires. This was released in 1979 and is XTC's third album. It's kind of got a more of a pop-oriented sound to it, with an arty side to it at the same time. So kind of an art pop, but probably one of their more commercial out of all of theirs. Good one to start with if you're looking to get into XTC's music. It's the best known of all their albums, like I said. On this particular one, well, XTC in their early years mostly were made up of Andy Partridge doing most of the songs, with Colin Moulding doing some songs also. On this particular album, Andy Partridge does 8 songs, and Moulding does four tracks. Sorry, there's the insert that it comes with. Nice picture of the band with the lyrics. There's the back. Anyway, another great album from XTC to add to the collection. One that I was really excited about, that was a big album for me back when it came out. This album, Living Colour. The group is Living Colour, I mean, and the album is Vivid. Released back in 1988 is when it was released. I have to write some of these things down because I'm getting old and forget things. This is Living Colour's first album, and probably their most famous. It's ranked number 6. Well, it peaked at number 6, what I'm trying to say. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Top 200 and is certified platinum. There's quite a variety of styles on this wonderful album, which makes it great, I think. It ranges everywhere from heavy metal to funk, everywhere in between. Kind of an alternative sound in some places, but the guitar work is excellent on here. Vernon Reid is the lead guitarist, and he ranked number 66 on Rolling Stone's top 200 greatest guitarists of all time. A lot of guests on this record, which was interesting since it was debut album. They have done albums since then, but nothing quite as popular as what this one was, released on Epic. But like I started to say, a lot of different guests on here. You've got Mick Jagger throwing in his harmonica and some background vocals at a couple of places. And you also have Flavor Flav and Chuck D both from Public Enemy appearing on some of the tracks. If you haven't heard that, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard that album, but it's not an easy one to find lately, especially on vinyl. So that was a great one to find. And the last one I want to show is a collection of unreleased recordings from Velvet Underground. This album is called Another View and was released in 1986. Now, this consists only of outtakes from various other sessions that they did back between 1967 and 1969. They were kind of left forgotten. They weren't put on any other compilations that they put out before that time. And around the 1980s, people started getting interested in these, so they created this compilation of 9 tracks. This particular record was originally released with the Velvet Underground box set, their first box set that was put out quite a while back. There's the inner sleeve. And they decided there was enough interest in it, they released it as an individual record later. Some of these songs that were on here ended up being re-recorded and put on other albums, including a couple that were released on some of Lou Reed's solo albums. So there it is on the Verve label. Like I said, Verve decided to drop them when they came under new management. They were trying to clean up some of their controversial things that they did, including some of the controversial things that bands were doing. Velvet Underground was one of the bands on their blacklist, and they ended up moving to MCA. But this is one of the last things that was released on the actual Verve label, as far as I know. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking in there, and we will talk to you all later.